Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. And remember, click the subscribe button, everybody. It's an amazing episode because Ashlei Sharpe Chestnut boards the mothership. You know we're at Sydney LaForge on the third season of Star Trek Picard. Come on board as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Miss Chestnut. Thank you so much for coming to the Versus Stars podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's totally my pleasure. How does it feel to be in Star Trek Picard Season 3, which is doing excellent in streaming?
Fantastic. I can't lie.
I must admit, it's doing better than I think anyone expected. I think it for the first time Star Trek has ever broken the top 10 in streaming.
Yeah,
So,
ever. Yeah,
I know this show is going well beyond expectations of anybody.
for sure. I'm stoked.
I would imagine, is this bigger than you thought it would be when you first got the role?
Not necessarily, because I feel like, Star Trek is a global franchise. Millions and millions of people watch and love Star Trek. But to be breaking records like that record that you just said, like that was only for episode 4, and each week
Right.
we've been like more and more viewers. So like I'm ready to see like these new ratings and like how many viewers we had like for the last couple of episodes.
So at the moment of the recording, the last episode airs at 3 a.m. Thursday morning, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like I imagine, my guess is that you break 1, maybe 2 with the last episode.
I hope.
That's my guess. I'm throwing it out there, so you heard it here first.
You heard it here, folks.
So let's backtrack just a little bit for listeners. You play Sydney LaForge, or Ensign Sydney LaForge, on Star Trek Picard Season 3. So how do you get involved with the part, and what were you previously interested in the franchise?
So I initially auditioned for this back in like 2021. And I guess to give more detail, my mom was actually helping me with my audition, and because she's a big Trekkie. But at the time, I don't think I knew that this was a Star Trek audition, because they gave us dummy sides. Like the character that I was reading for, her name was Bryce. It wasn't Sydney. But I think once I found out that it was Star Trek, I feel like the moment really hit me like, whoa, this is obviously monumental, and super excited like to join this franchise. Yeah.
I mean, not only did you join the franchise, but you played the daughter of Star Trek royalty,
Yeah.
LeVar Burton character, Geordi LaForge. So how did you feel when you found out you're playing LeVar Burton's daughter, or character's daughter, on the show?
Nuts, because I grew up watching Reading Rainbow. I mean, his resume is extensive, but like Reading Rainbow was like my childhood.
Yes.
And because because they said I was going to be the daughter of a legacy character, so I knew it either had to be Michael Dorn or LeVar Burton. But the fact that Geordi LaForge was like my Instagram profile picture, I just so many connections tied to Geordi's character. I just was even more excited than you can imagine. Yeah.
Did you wish you got to wear the Klingon prosthetic and been Dorn's daughter?
In hindsight, no, because those people, everybody with like special effects makeup, they have to come to set so early. Like, thank God I didn't have any like super crazy prosthetics other than like the Borg makeup.
So when you're thinking about playing Sydney,
Yeah.
Obviously she's a legacy, not only character on the show, but in actual Starfleet, fictional Starfleet. On the show, she's the legacy daughter of Geordi LaForge. So how did that inform your performance and how you thought Sydney would be thinking or acting on the show?
Sure. I think she is I think for myself and Sydney, we're both stepping into these big shoes. I mean, this environment not necessarily is new for Sydney, but it is for me. And I think she just wants to shine and feel representative of not only her family, but like herself. She wants to make a name for herself, but also make her dad proud too,
Well, I think that's kind of interesting. Obviously, Geordi LaForge is famous for being an engineer. Sydney LaForge becomes a navigator, a pilot. So, which honestly, I guess is distinctly different. So, in discussions about the character, what led her to go in that direction?
Well, I think she kind of does follow in her father's footsteps, because I think the first season of TNG, Geordi was a pilot, and then transitioned more into engineering. But I think because of the way Sydney was raised, she does have engineering skills as well as, piloting skills. It's just that she had more of an interest in becoming a pilot. And I think the two, I mean, even in 306, when they like her and Geordi kind of hash it out, I mean, we realized that like there is commonality between them two, it's just that Sydney prefers piloting and being the helmsman.
Well, I thought it was really interesting that they do imply that there was a strained relationship between daughter and her father. So, I mean, obviously most of that happened off screen. how strained of a relationship were you told that it was between these two?
Not too much, because I don't think we wanted to play so much on like, oh, it's so much of an estrangement, estranged, other than the fact that like they just were in different places. I think even in the moment when I realized, no one else realizes it on the ship, but I'm like, oh, we're getting ready to see my dad. And I'm like, sir, maybe and they're like, they cut me off. Like, no, go ahead. And I think it's just a little tension more so of anything. I think the whole, argument between Geordi and Sydney, I think it really boils down to just miscommunication. And total, yeah.
So you played the sister of, as well, Mica Burton, the actual daughter, real life daughter of LeVar Burton, who plays Alondra LaForge. So what was that experience like to play the sister of the actual daughter?
Fantastic. I mean, I've said it before, like we just immediately bonded. I just don't, it's really lovely because like she said, like we were both raised as only children. So it's kind of nice to come out of this with a sibling. Yeah, I mean, we really bonded. It was a really good experience. Yeah.
So what insights did she give you about working with her father?
You know what's funny? She like clowns her father the whole time. She's like, he's not cool. I'm like, Mica, this man was my childhood. She's like, I have so many embarrassing stories to tell you about this man. And
no.
She's like the typical daughter, like, it was great. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Oh man, you gotta one day write a book about all the stories she told you about him.
Oh my God. I know they'd be mortified.
But that is funny though. Like you're talking about reading Rainbow. I must admit the song actually is in my head. I do know it.
Rainbow. Yeah, it's great.
It was wonderful. Is he? But I think when people think about LeVar Burton and they think about reading Rainbow, they think about this very wholesome kind of dude. What is he like in real life?
Super chill. I mean, how do I describe him? He's very chill, very sweet, very kind and open person, I feel, and welcoming me. I think, and I've said this, like I when we first met, like I yelled across the lot, "Hey, I'm Ashlei. I'm going to be playing your daughter." And I ran over and he had his arms open wide for like a hug. Like, I mean, that doesn't always happen on set when you're working with people, right. And the fact that he was just so warm and welcoming, I couldn't have asked for a better fictional TV dad,
Well, I mean, there's some great legacy actors who are on it. Obviously, Patrick Stewart's on there. You do a lot with Jonathan Frakes, Jerry Ryan, and also you have the new guard, Todd Stashwick as well there as well. What is that experience like? What were the old guard like on the show, working with Stewart and Frakes, and did they give you any insights about either Star Trek itself or what you're about to find yourself in now that you've joined this franchise with millions and millions of fans?
Or one of the things that the legacy characters have said outside of shooting was like, Star Trek is a part of my life and will be forever, and in a good way. Like it's a blessing. I think the fans so far have been so gracious to me and welcoming. Honestly, I keep saying it, but like literally everyone was so welcoming. And I think sometimes with franchises, you just don't know, if fans are going to like accept your character. And I've just been really fortunate that people are really resonating with Sydney. So yeah, that's one of the things that they've told me outside of shooting. Yeah.
Are you prepared to be an action figure, a comic book, appearances, and all this other Star Trek?
Listen, I'm waiting to see it. I know, like it's gonna be insane. Like I already, like my friend made a Sydney shirt for me. Like
very cool.
I'm excited to see. Yeah, this whole thing has been like a new, fun experience for me. I'm just ready for the ride.
See, like I said, you get all the action figures, but the question is, in box, or are you going to take it out and put it someplace?
I feel like both. I feel like one, I'm going to want to play with one, and then one I'm going to like preserve, keep in like a glass container. But you have to like take it out of the box. You have to.
A great scene is that Sydney works very well with Jack on the show. There's a great relationship with there. There's some chemistry there as well. Was there some hints or discussion that this was a relationship that would build if the series were to continue, or a legacy show was going to spin off?
Yeah, for sure. I think we'll definitely continue. I mean, # Star Trek Legacy. The goal is to continue getting to know these characters. Not only Jack, but like Alondra, hopefully, Seven, Rafi. I mean, the list continues, but yeah, I mean, I think it would be a disservice not to continue exploring the relationships between these characters.
So where do you think the relationship between Sydney and Jack is headed if there was to continue? Like, do you see them as a couple that could exist? Once again, I haven't seen the last episode, so I don't know what happens to Jack at the end or Sydney, but I'm just guessing.
I think it would definitely probably go in the relationship direction, just because we have a hashtag now, hashtag Lacrusher. I think fans have been shipping us from jump, so I feel like it's inevitable.
So, I mean, one very interesting moment is that during the series, Jack is able to mind control Sydney. So how do you think she felt about that?
Violated. I think the
moment. So?
I think violated for sure, only because when she comes out of it, she's like, whoa, was that you in my head? Like, and she's scared, it's like, whoa, like what? I didn't know you could do this. How long have you been able to do this? How long have you been able to read my mind? So I think it's a lot of like processing her interactions and previous interactions with Jack, and then also moving forward and thinking about future interactions too,
Do you think that's a healable situation, her and Jack, after she has to deal with the fact that he could actually enter her mind?
Yes, I think it would. Yes, I think, Jack comes with a lot of baggage, to say the least. Yes. So I feel like if they were to continue this relationship, they would have to have a lot of sit down talks and
Well, I do think a great moment is when Geordi LaForge is like, keep away from my daughter, which was like a perfect father reaction. So another great moment is that you get to be Borg for at least in the last, I don't know what happens in episode 10 because it's not out yet, but episode 9, you're definitely get to turn Borg. What was that experience like? How did you prepare for that role?
Yeah, I guess I can give you a sneak peek because I will continue to be a little bit of a Borg in episode 10 that you'll see. But yeah, I think the fun experience about it was the makeup process. Like, this was my first time in special effects makeup, which I didn't like. Kudos to those people who have to actually come to set. Like you said, like Michael Dorn's character, like these people have to come to set so early to get all of the makeup and stuff. But I mean, yeah, that was super fun. And also just being like deadpan and like assimilated was like a really cool experience too. Yeah.
How long did it take to get all that stuff on you?
About an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Mm-hmm.
Now, had you watched the other episodes previous with the Borg appear and also First Contact to get a sense of how Borgs behave? And have that changed thinking of how your character would be as the Borg?
Yes and no. I wanted to make the Borg my own in a way, just because I feel like even with Sydney's like trajectory this season, like we see her as a changeling, we see her as all these different things. And I kind of wanted to see how that all looked for her. And then this final moment, her becoming this Borg, I wanted it to all come into one piece, if that makes sense. Like have a little bit of everything. Yeah.
So as an actor, how did it feel to play 3 versions of a character?
Yeah, it was a stretch. And I hoped that I was able to at least bring something different to each of those characters or versions of those characters, so it wasn't all stagnant and the same. But yeah.
Now, obviously, Star Trek is famous for its great pilots. So where does Sydney stack up against the best?
I'm biased. I'm gonna say Sydney's number 1.
All right. We heard it here first. Sydney is the best. Game on. Everyone else is now going to be hashtag Sydney's the best.
People are going to be DMing me. You're wrong. I already know it.
It's Sulu. It's got to be Sulu. So obviously the question everyone is going to ask you obviously is Star Trek Legacy, as we mentioned earlier. What are the rumors? What have you heard? Is there some discussion on where your character is going to go? So what do we know about what's next? Everyone's assuming there is a next.
I mean, so far, nothing. We don't know anything publicly. I'm hoping for a spinoff. That would be lovely. I think, we've all been kind of campaigning. Like I heard there was like a petition with signatures for us to continue, and it said it gained more than like, I think Discovery or Strange New Worlds. I forgot which one. We exceeded that. So I think the fans definitely want it, and the cast and crew, we would all love to come back. So yeah. So
where would you like to see Sydney LaForge go from here?
Ooh, I think the possibilities are infinite, just because of what we've already experienced this season, and because we're still getting to know these characters. They're again, yeah, the possibilities are endless to continue to explore.
Are you going to be enjoying this convention circuit?
Of course I am. Are you kidding?
Anything announced so far?
Nothing announced so far. No, I just got a con agent. So hopefully hopefully some announcements will come out soon.
All right, you're ready to have a huge line of fans around the block waiting for these autographs.
I can't wait.
Well, like I said, if you ever come to the Northeast, Trificon, Rhode Island Comic Con, and Boston Fan Expo are some great conventions. That's where I am. So yes, so definitely go to those, please.
Okay, got it. Noted.
Ms. Chestnut, it's been an absolute honor to speak with you, and I can't wait to see what happens next episode. I'm actually waking up at 3 a.m. to catch it.
I love it. Thank you so much. You too. Bye.